Welcome to my designer class. My name is Mercy and I am an independent Stamp It Up demonstrator. In today's tutorial I'm going to be continuing my Santa's Helper series, and we're going to be making this Ghiradelli gift card holder, and I think this turned out really cute. And I don't know about you, but at Christmas I do like giving gift cards, so this is a great way to present it. Okay, so to start off with, I'm going to bring in my template and show a few dimensions. So I cut this cardstock at 9 1/4 by 3 1/4, and I scored it so 4 1/2, and then I flipped it and scored it 4 1/2. So you have a little bit over, like, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch or something for the base. Okay, so I will start with doing the Stamparatus and bring that in. I created a template, and this is very useful and speeds up the process entirely when you create a template like this. And I feel like I might have gotten this a little bit wrong here. It's a little loose here. Okay, so I just want to make sure that it's the birdie's in the little template area correctly. So I'm going to use my Memento black ink because we will be using some blends. So just stamp right down, and there you have your perfect little bird. It's a very quick way to do stamping, so I highly recommend it. If you have a Stamparatus, this is a great way to use it, and if you don't have one, please order one from me. There's my little plug. Okay, so setting this aside, the Stamparatus, I will now bring in my base. So here is my base, and again, I already pre-scored it, so you can kind of see I used this detailed trio punch. Right here is how I created these circles. So when you line this up, you can just kind of center it and look at these little corner things. I don't know what those are called, but it helps you line it up for this particular project in particular. So I will burnish my score lines. And this is sort of like creating a bit of a triangle in a sense. So at the top, then it meets up, and this is supposed to be kind of flat, although you definitely can't stand it. I absolutely love the shimmer paint, which we will be using today. But first I'm going to go ahead corner round this. This detailed trio punch is very useful. I really like and glad they came out with something like this because you have all these beautiful options. Oh, and I did all 4 corners. If I could only follow my own directions, right? Okay, so it all lines up then in the end. Okay, so set that aside. And so this is going to be my front, and I'm going to lay it out here and go ahead and start my stamping. Now this, most of the sentiments I use from Peaceful Noel, and it does have these snowflakes, but I did prefer the way it turned out using the snowflakes from Still Night. So that's what we'll be using today. Okay, bringing in my shimmer paint, just shake it up really well, and then I use my sponge dauber to ink up the stamp here. So let me make sure, and I got quite a bit of ink on there, hopefully not too much, and then I'll just, oh, isn't that so pretty? It just adds this sparkle. I like the white, and it's pretty opaque, so you can definitely go on like a dark cardstock and it just turns out beautifully. This frost white is my favorite of the shimmer paints. I have the 3 of them. I have the, what are they? Vegas Gold and the Bright Copper, which I also actually really do like too. But this one I definitely reach for probably the most, especially for the Christmas projects. All right, so I will add a few more, and then we'll be able to do the next step. And I did get a little bit on my hands. It can be a little bit messy, so you definitely want to have something to wipe off your hands, like your maybe your chamois or something around when you're doing crafting with the shimmer paint. It's fun, but a little bit messy. Okay, so almost done here. I will add 1 in the center and 1 more over here, and we will be ready for the next step. Okay, so here we go. And isn't that pretty? It just really adds a extra special touch, I think. Okay, I'm closing up my shimmer paint because we don't want to have a mess, not to mention we don't want it to dry out. So that's that part. The next part, I'll show you how I created the pocket for the bird, well, for the gift card with the bird on top of it. So I will bring in my 3M tape, cut off a piece like so, and cut this into 3. This takes a little bit of time, but with practice, you'd be surprised how quickly you can get this done. Using non-stick scissors does help with the process to avoid it sticking too much. Okay, so 3 of them. I'm just gonna flip this over. It is helpful to have your gift card on hand just so that you make sure that you allow enough space. So 1 down here. Then I'm going to bring in my gift card just to make sure again that I'm allowing enough space, and also it helps me to just push it up against it so I'm creating kind of a straight line, if you will. Okay, so I'm not sure. Okay, right here we go. There. So it's free in here, but again, you definitely want it to be tight enough too. You don't, there's just enough room when you cut these like in 3 strips, I found. So I'm going to get this in place, bring my gift card back in, and try not to have it stick on the sticky part, and line it up, hopefully straight. I like to do it fairly close to the bottom, but not totally on the bottom, if that makes sense. Okay, I'm happy with that. That looks good. And I did get it a little bit, but now it'll be fine. Now it'll be free, you'll see. Yeah, you can get it in and out. Okay, so I'll just set this aside for the time being. The next step I want to show is a little bit about the coloring. Here's my bird. I used the light Bermuda Bay, the dark Pool Party, and the dark Real Red. Actually, this is Cherry Cobbler, I'm sorry. But the light Cherry Cobbler. You can use the dark red or the light Cherry Cobbler. They're almost the same, I've found, so either way works. Okay, so I colored the birdie's like chest with the Cherry Cobbler or Real Red you could use. And then I just colored in the rest of the bird with this dark Pool Party. So we're just going to come in here, just blend it right up to it, and then I'm going to bring in the light Bermuda Bay and just add a little bit up here in the wing area. So you get just a little bit of contrast, but it's extremely simple, as you can see. I use the Sprig punch right here to punch out this, which I don't think you really need to see. And I use the Starburst punch. I have a spare here, right here. So I am going to go ahead and attach this and show you the rest of how to assemble this. Okay, so this is a smooth background, but you could use like a different, like tear and tape or something like that if you want. I'm just going to pretty much center it here, and then use glue dots to attach against the shimmer paint. It definitely holds better. Okay, well, yeah, this should work. I just use like 3 of them just to make sure they're secure. I feel like I'm all thumbs today. All right. My kids are home from school today because of election, and that was my son coming thundering down the stairs. He's 14, and I was measuring how tall he was, and he is 1 inch short of being 6 foot tall. So he's definitely way, way taller than me, and I think he's going to be taller than his dad, who is about 6 feet tall. So At 14, I think he could easily grow a couple inches. It's always interesting when you become the short one in the family. And I think that'll definitely happen in my case. My daughter's 5'8", and I am just barely, if I cheat a little, 5'5", so they did not get a lot of height from me. Okay, so isn't that pretty with the little bird? I think this petal palette bird really does well for using in Christmas scenes. So I encourage you, if you thought about using some of your stamp sets that are not Christmas, this would definitely be one of them that you should consider. So I will go ahead and bring in the sentiment, which I stamp inside. And, oh, actually, I'm not going to use this one. I am going to use the black Memento ink and stamp with my scrap of cardstock, which I'm trying to get my hands on, with Fill the Season with Happiness. So we will go ahead and add this. And one of the things I did with the green, and now I know why I brought it in, was I took the stamp, one of these leaves, and stamped over this. So naturally I do not have that ready, but because the way things are, it's extremely simple to get things ready. I will just use my stamp here mounted, and I feel like I see a little bit of dark ink, and I stamped off with this as well, with the green. So I will bring this in. Well, here, let me get this so you can see. I'm going to stamp off, so, whoa. And then I'm going to just stamp over the image. So it'll be second generation. I think that's kind of a nice little touch without being difficult at all. Nothing complicated. All right, so the Everyday Label Punch, yes, I got that right, is the one I selected to use for punching out this. And it really comes out well. The only thing I would say is try to look at the top more than the bottom when you line up, because it's kind of hard, the bottom, to really see how to make it look straight. So that would be my recommendation. So setting this aside, I did do some sponging. I love adding a little extra color that way, especially if there's room. I think it dresses it up as well. So here we go. Just adding a little, hitting it on the edges. This technique is so much fun and just adds a lot of wow, I think. Okay, so the final, I'm going to bring in the Everyday Punch back, and I'm going to use some of the Granny Apple Green just to punch out, and you'll see how I layer this. So I'm going to set that aside. And I realized that I didn't bring in the Ghiradelli chocolate, so I will have to show you just on the other one how I put it on with glue dots, actually. I cannot believe all the stuff I forgot today for this particular project, but it happens. I don't really have a good excuse, but whatever, right? So just put this here, and then you layer this on top of it, and it just like adds this extra pop of color when you back it with something. And there's no cutting involved. Like, you could cut down the center and mat it this way, which I do like that technique. But if you want to be really simple, just do it like this. So when they open it up, which I will show you how this one works, my original, since I seem to have forgotten to bring the chocolate along. Silly me. They have their chocolate inside. So I just secured this again with glue dots. Okay, so as far as the ribbon is concerned, I did two different ways with the ribbon, and I actually really like this way. So for this particular one, we're going to imagine our chocolate is in there, and I'm going to go ahead and bring in the ribbon. I used this metallic edged ribbon, and also this metallic with the white baker's twine. So I think that was really pretty combination. And I see I've got a lot of green on my hands. Who knows? I guess I am one of the messy stampers. All right, so I'm going to bring in the baker's twine, and all you do with this way is you just tie it a little bow here, which I do not like tying bows on camera, but we shall try today and see if I'm any better at this. And I just like put it here, and let's see if the magic happens today. Okay, it's not too terrible, but my other bow off camera did come out a little better. Maybe if we manipulate it a little, this one will come out okay. Okay, so, but the idea, you get the idea, and then you can just trim up these ends a little bit, and you have a really cute packaged gift card with the Ghiradelli chocolate inside. I hope you enjoyed watching this tutorial. Please give me a thumbs up, and if you would like to subscribe, I would really appreciate that. And don't forget to tap the bell for notifications. If there's any products you would like to order, please email me at mewants3@gmail.com. And happy stamping!